Hello, is it better
Am I
now,
audible?
Priyashi? Yeah, yeah, you
Okay,
are.
it is.
Am I?
Yeah. I'll also check with my Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Am I
It
audible?
works better? Yeah, yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll quickly introduce and welcome all the followers who are here on live. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining in. It's a pleasure to have you all here. And today we'll be having a small discussion and a Q&A about relationships. I think relationships are the one that makes us more human. They add value to our life. And for me personally, they are very important because they brings in connection, different feelings, different emotions. So that's why it's a very personal topic to me as well. And most of the people who are connected to Manoshala might be knowing that I also work as a relationship counselor. So it's a pleasure to invite you, Priyashi, with us today. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation on a very short notice and being here. We're really grateful for this. And I would now request you for a short introduction, and then we may move forward with the topic.
Thank you so much, Akanksha, for inviting me in. Thank you to Manoshala, who is conducting this live session. I think it's a great initiative, and that's why I am always excited about such sessions. So there was no option for me to say no. And as I have known you since, back to our days when we were doing training, it is so lovely to get connected with you again.
Right,
So thank you
right,
so much for
same.
having me. I would like to say hello to
Thank you.
everyone who has joined us live today. I hope that if you stay in, it's going to be something worthwhile for all of you. I'll try my best for that. And when it comes to introducing myself, I'm just a human being like everyone. And I'm just trying to make small changes, small differences by creating those differences or changes within myself. Because every revolution starts from home. And I think our home is ourselves, foremost. Then any
Mm,
place or if we try to associate ourselves with somebody else, it's really important that we start to connect with ourselves. So,
right.
a peaceful person, creating changes within so that, you
Mm,
know,
mm,
this world and the perception of the world that I have could become much better. Professionally, I am a psychologist, I am a life coach,
mm.
hypnotherapist, I'm a rehabilitation counselor, and a spiritual well-being coach as well. Today, like presently, I'm conducting a retreat. It's a 10 days retreat here in Manali, so all of you are most welcome. So, yeah, that's all. It's all from my end.
Yeah. Okay, okay. Thank you for the introduction, Priyashi. So, starting with the very basic question that I have in my mind is what are relationships and why they are so important in our life?
Uh, Relationships are just the way we associate ourselves with ourselves, with other beings, with the nature, with the animals. So it's just how we connect with other beings and including ourselves. And it says relation. So this word has a two-dimensional aspect. But it is always two ways. It's not just one way approach. It has to be a two-way approach. And
Right,
that's why it brings in a lot more different concepts for us to understand deeply. And there are times, since childhood, we have never been taught about what relations really are. Though we had relationships before we were born, but yet, unfortunately, no one told us, no one guided us that what relationships are. Uh, so it's really important, and that's why I think relationships become really complex as well in our lives. So that's why, this is a great topic that you have chosen.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's why they are of great significance because the very first aspect of who we are, that identity, that personal identity or that categorical identity that a person receives from the society is what starts to build us up as an individual, as a person. And that's why relationships are of very great importance. Like, if we don't have good relationships, we might not know ourselves from a good perspective. We might continue to see ourselves as someone who is not enough, who is lacking, who is not worthy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, it's a
Right,
great thing.
right. Very rightly mentioned. Right, very rightly mentioned that it's a one-way thing as well, relationship with ourselves as well as with others too. But what I majorly see also is that we see relationships only in context to others.
Right.
For example, two human beings speak together. So, and we forget that at the first place, it's us that we need to build our own relation with ourselves to understand who we are, what our patterns are, and what we are taking to the other partner, friendship, companionship, romantic relationship. So, why do you feel is there this gap that we fail to connect with ourselves and we always want to connect to others to get that what we are lacking?
So somehow, the nature or the universe decided that the foremost understanding of who we are would be introduced to us by others in our surroundings.
Hmm.
For example, what is your name?
Right.
What is your age? In which class you are? And X, Y, Z.
Hmm.
Somehow,
Right.
this sense of who I am tends to become really, you know, uh, tends to get a very deep rooted conditioning within us. And
Right.
how our mind starts to perceive it is really way different. If I start to
Hmm.
say that I am Priyasi, I am this, I am that, I
Yeah.
am that, my mind would automatically get into a tendency or a habit that this I am has to be filled with something, has to be completed
Right.
with something. There must be an objective attached with it.
Hmm.
Right? There must be a sense of goodness or badness must be attached with it.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Our logical mind starts to think that I am equals to Priyashi. And if someone says Priyashi is a bad girl, my mind perceives I am equals to a bad girl.
That girl. Yeah.
Right? So that's how our logical mind works. And that's how I think everyone's mind has been poorly trained in this, poorly conditioned in this
Hmm.
environment.
Hmm.
And that's
Hmm.
why we tend to see the world not from our vision, but from the vision of the others around us.
Right. Right.
Somehow, during this entire, in this entire education system, there are very few feeds which actually guide us towards who we are,
Right.
right? Towards developing this sense of a relationship with ourselves.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And that's why most of the individuals, the majority of the population is misguided and they tend to figure out themselves using other people's lenses.
Other people. Yeah. Yeah.
So probably they do not see the world, their eyes, they see the world through other people's eyes. That is
Hmm.
helpful for a child, but now we all
Hmm.
are adults.
Right.
Right?
Adults.
So,
Yeah.
as an adult, it's our responsibility. If we have not been taught yet, if we have not been into such circumstances or situations where we can be guided in a certain way that could lead us
Hmm.
towards who we really are and can help us connect with ourselves much better than thinking that, oh God, लोग क्या कहेंगे या लोग मेरे बारे में क्या सोचते
Right.
हैं, right?
Right.
Now it's our
Right.
responsibility. So if we haven't been showered with such, opportunities, we have to create ones. And now, since we are in a global time, we can get in touch with anyone in the world. So it's ultimately uh, based upon our decisions today. It's our choice now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right, right. Very rightly put forward, Priyashi. Thank you. Uh, Now that we have talked about personal relationship, like our own
Also, can
individual
you hold
connection.
your mic a
Yeah,
little bit
sure,
closer?
sure. Better,
Yeah.
better. Yeah. So now that we have talked about personal connections that we form with ourselves, I would like to now shift the topic to romantic relationships. So there are majority of this. There's a lot of distress in today's world when it comes to romantic relationships because of the different types of notions attached to it, different types of, what do we say, trends attached to it. So how do we define a healthy romantic relationship, and how, if we don't have it, how do we work towards building it?
Okay. So I'll be answering it in two parts. Firstly, it's
Hmm.
about how do we identify, right? What are the healthy
Yeah,
healthy romantic
what is
relationships?
a healthy relationship? How do we define a healthy relationship?
So, in a relationship, there are three major pillars. One is
Yeah,
communication.
absolutely.
Second, there's mutuality. When I say mutuality, it means equal responsibilities, equal trust. You know, mutual trust, mutual comfort, mutual. You know, say anything, you know, that we now we do understand that what actual relationship is, right? We are not that now.
Yeah,
So be it our
yeah.
trust, our confidentiality, our privacy, everything comes under our mutuality. So there
Mutuality.
has to be mutual respect amongst the individuals. There must be mutual trust, mutual sense of security, right?
Hmm.
So these are the things which comes under the second pillar of the relationship. And the third is
Right.
right to Now, one may think that the communication and right to privacy are actually, you know, contrasting in nature, but
Yeah, yeah.
not literally they are contrasting. So when it comes to
Hmm.
communication, it doesn't mean that you have to communicate, you know, the things for which you are not even comfortable for,
Hmm.
right? So you have to be comfortable for, isn't it? So these
Hmm.
three pillars
Right.
go hand in hand, and these are like they go on acting simultaneously.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right?
Right.
If one needs to, one is thinking of working on their relationship aspects, and they should start working on these three pillars. When I talk about right to privacy, it means that the person has their own personal space, has their own
Yeah.
personal life as well, has an individuality even in the relationship as well.
Individuality.
And
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
privacy must be respected from both the ends.
Hmm. Right. Right.
With
Absolutely.
these three pillars comes something real, you know, something of really importance, that is nurturance. So
Yeah.
if one thinks of, if one look at, you know, what relationships are, we still have relationship with the nature. And what is
Hmm.
nature doing to us? It's only nurturing. It doesn't say
Yeah.
anything, it doesn't complain, it just tries to nurture us. Not just us human beings,
Right.
but to animals, to insects, to parasites.
Everyone. Hmm.
So
Right.
if a relationship is nurturing, if a relationship has these three pillars that we just talked about, then it's
Hmm.
good. Then it's a healthy relationship.
Right. 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 It also reminds me of a very famous statement. I don't know which psychologist or which great person brought it forward, but just I have it in my mind that most of the people who are in a relationship, they say we are in a relationship to complete each other. But who said that they are half? Or who
Right.
said that they are broken, that they need somebody to complete them? So, yeah, so individuality and understanding oneself first, knowing that we are enough as a whole, and then moving into a relationship, then all of these comes automatically: mutuality, respect, communication. Yeah. Yeah.
True.
Rightly said. Mm. Okay.
It like it must be told to us. Like it's really sad
Hmm.
that that we have to be told this, or we need to be taught this, from
Hmm.
someone. But I think in today's time, it's of great importance that people should acknowledge that they are not the ones completing each other, right? In
Yeah.
relationship, people should, if that is the case, then two people are codependent,
Yeah.
right? But if two people are independent,
Hmm.
right, then they would be able to help out each other and be with each other in in much better sense,
Sense. Yeah. Yeah. Right.
right?
Right. And I think there only the role of therapy, personal works come in, wherein with the assistance of a professional, you first work on yourself, grow personally, and then you just build something together very beautifully.
Right,
Yeah,
true.
right. Yeah, yeah. Also, Priyashi, how if these things are not present in a relationship, there might be that both the partners are carrying something with them, and they might not be able to really have these things at the first place. So, how do we really work on these things to make it a healthy relationship, or to just work on that line to grow together and to develop all of the healthy habits so that it becomes something that they
Right.
want it to become?
So I think it's the work that can be started,
Hmm.
that can be initiated amongst two people is by understanding themselves.
Right, right, yeah.
We must understand that we all play different roles in life,
Hmm.
right? Um, I am a female, I am a daughter, I am a sister, I am a granddaughter, I am a psychologist, a life coach, a teacher, XYZ, right? It could be a number of things for different people. Yeah.
Hmm.
But besides these roles, and if sorry to say, but like I'll just explain a little bit more on that. And
Yeah,
if you
sure, sure.
focus on these roles, you will understand that these roles are already predefined by the society,
Predefined. Yeah.
based on which our traits or our potential is being judged. So when people come in relationships, they are not coming in relationship with the individual they have fallen in love with. They are coming in
Hmm.
relationship with the image of the person that they have. Or I would say
Right.
the image of girlfriend, boyfriend, husband,
Hmm.
wife that they have.
Hmm. Right.
I want that kind of husband. I want this kind of wife. With that image,
Hmm.
I'm actually marrying. I'm not marrying. I'm not marrying to this person actually. And that's where the conflict arises.
Right.
Misunderstandings, miscommunications, broken expectations, and so.
Right. Right.
So we do have certain image about every role that we are playing in this life.
Hmm.
That's why
Hmm.
I say the work has to be started by getting to know oneself first. I am an
Hmm.
individual beyond these roles.
Right.
I might not even be creative. You might not even be a counselor. Because people already have an image of, okay, this is how Akanksha is. Okay, this is how Priyashi
Right.
is. And if I behave in a certain different way than usual, then they are like, oh God, Priyashi, you have changed. You're not the same old
Yeah.
Priyashi whom I
Yeah.
knew, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm. Hmm.
change is a part of the nature. Change is the
Hmm.
proof, is the evidence that I'm alive, right?
Right.
Right? If I'm dead, only then I can't be living good.
Yeah.
So,
Rightly said.
uh, people should understand this and
Hmm.
start working with themselves. They should
Hmm.
realize who they are. They should build a
Hmm.
connection with themselves. There are so many people, Akanksha, with whom I work till now. Before they have come to therapy, they never knew what self relationship or what self love. is actually like. They've
Yeah.
never heard such concept. They like it was very alien concept for them.
Hmm. Hmm.
And they are in their 20s, they are in their 30s, even in their 40s.
Right. Right.
Right? So working like getting to know yourself is the step one. Then
Hmm.
make sure that your ideal and real self are integrated.
Yeah.
It's of great importance. Like what you think you are and what you really are, like these two things should lie in the same plane. They should not be like out in the ocean, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Besides that, one can start to work with the expectations two people have with each other. They should understand that these expectations can actually ruin their relationship. So instead of having expectation from the role they have in their mind with whom they have got in relationship with, it should break down and they should actually meet the person they are with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
they should start to rebuild this relationship with a with a new direction, with a new essence,
hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So as they would get to and start to accept this new person gradually, they'll start to fall in love. Or they might even separate their ways. But
Right.
separating the way is also a part of, making the relationship healthier,
Hmm. Hmm.
isn't it? Yeah. So you're
Absolutely.
making relationship with yourself healthier at least. And even with the
Yes.
person, because if you are mutually getting separated by getting the understanding that, okay, we are two very different individuals and maybe we are not compatible enough, we want different things in life, and so on.
Right.
Yes, understanding when to say no. Like, there are so many people who would continue not just to compromise but to concede in the relationship.
Yes.
And that becomes a real breakdown of the individual.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Compromising is another thing, but conceding is another. And when a person starts to give in the relationship, the balance in the relationship starts to disrupt. That's never good.
Hmm.
With this, they should create healthy boundaries. They should
Hmm.
know that what are the things, because everyone has their own flaws, right? Some may be impatient, some may get hungry easily, some may be, just lazy or unhygienic, you never know, right? So,
Yeah.
uh, they should accept the flaws, but they should also keep on working on their flaws in order to, have a growth aspect in their relationship, not just with the other
Right.
person that they are in or they have married with the relationship with themselves as well.
As well. Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, I would just like to make the point, not everything or not every flaw one can correct, but it's just up to us. It's up to our disclosure that what do we want to work with. Okay, what is it
Hmm.
that's causing trouble to me and to other people around? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And yeah, working with healthy boundaries actually helps a lot.
Hmm. Yeah. So, just I don't know how many people here are aware about what boundary building is, what healthy boundaries are. So, if you could just quickly explain a bit
Sure.
about boundaries. Yeah.
So for example, if I have a habit of feeling out of frustration, right?
Hmm.
Then my partner my partner can actually accept, firstly, the person can actually
Hmm.
accept. Okay, so my partner, my wife has this little frustration issue, So there are few things. So what are the triggers that can cause frustration to her,
Right.
right? So the
Right.
person can actually accept me comfortably, and then
Hmm.
uh, I I will make sure these are just examples. I'll make sure that I'm
Hmm.
providing I have the awareness of those triggers and I'm communicating with my partner about them, right? So
Right.
if
Right.
I shout or scream at him, he may understand it once, twice, thrice. not every time,
Hmm.
right? That's where the healthy boundary sets in.
Come
So
in.
two partners should sit together, talk about their
Hmm.
triggers, talk about the
Hmm.
solutions that can work, talk about the communication that they are going to conduct when they are in stressful times,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So I can say, well, I may need space, or okay, I may shout, can I have some space, right?
Hmm.
Or I'm
Hmm.
sorry, but I'm going to burst out, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
These could be little communication with our partners. It can actually
Hmm.
help our partners as well to settle in, to
Yeah.
find the balance within themselves, or just to, make sure that their guards are up so that they don't get identified with our flaw behaviors,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
right? So
Right.
these are these are the things or the techniques that people can use while they are creating healthy boundaries. They can make sure that, okay, in rare times, or say if once in a month I'm doing this, please forgive me on that. But if I'm doing more
Hmm.
than twice in a month, I'll bear some price for it. Because we
Right.
do not want this behavior to be reinforced. So if we
Hmm.
suppose one partner is understanding fully, giving their all, but
Hmm.
the other person has flaws, has the awareness, but is not working on it.
Working on
This
it. Yeah.
quiet, silent, accepting behavior of the partner can actually reinforce this flaw behavior in their life.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
And this person, like the partner, would actually start
Hmm.
the same time.
Right.
And that's going to ruin the relationship.
Right.
So this is an example of healthy boundary.
Hmm. 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 Right. Right.
Thank you for sharing, Priyashi. Also, does healthy boundaries helps in developing one's own personal space? Like they do also play a role in helping us to have our own space while we are in a relationship with someone?
Yeah, definitely. Because
Hmm.
people do not just harm the other partner, the partner.
Hmm.
They harm themselves as well. One must definitely have healthy boundaries with themselves as well.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
It's
Right.
definitely going to push their real self to test their limits, or, to challenge their limits a little bit. And yeah, one can actually
Yeah.
break through their old past patterns.
Right. 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 Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so then we talked about breaking up. So
Sorry,
it's,
I can't hear.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, much better.
Right. Take care. So I was talking about breakups. So
Hmm.
it is a very natural part of we being us, humans being human, breaking up, not having a long-term relationship with somebody, leaving each other at some point. But I have seen at my personal experience that it affects people very deeply. Like it becomes very difficult for them to just come back, bounce back to the real life, and it gets difficult. So one, I would like to know why breaking up is such a difficult thing to process, and B, I would like to know is, can a person on their own potential also come out of of a breakup, or they would always require some professional help?
Okay. Can you allow me a minute? I am just being a treat to
Sure.
so many mosquitoes right now.
Sure. 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 Please take your time.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so whenever a relationship adds up in our life, it
Hmm.
brings in few things. It brings in
Yeah.
some beautiful memories, some great moments, some amazing experiences. And as we have already discussed earlier, that the sense of I am tends to build it up, right? As we
Right.
continue to
Right.
think that we are what other people think about us. So this entire sense of who we are is built based upon people in our lives.
Right.
And what if there is no one around me? Then who am I? Right? Uh,
Self-doubt.
yeah. Now that hits really hard for so many people because they have never met themselves, because they
Right.
have always been with someone, around someone.
Hmm. Right.
Right? So people have not come to an understanding about how they can enjoy their own company,
Own company.
and they have always associated themselves with someone, and if not with someone, then with something.
Right.
People are sometimes really attached with their resignation, with their profession, with their work, with their kids, and so on. With the material, the home, with the car, with the mobile phone. How dare you scratch my car? Right? Yeah. So people have always associated themselves, and their mind, as our mind is trained like this, I am must need something, must be filled with something. And then, friends, we have watched a lot of amazing, beautiful, romantic Hollywood, Bollywood movies. We have created a very fascinating understanding of what love is
What love is.
and what these relationships are, and how our life comes to an end when we develop breakup. Uh, as we continue to perceive others, like added to that, as we continue to perceive others, we also continue to perceive ourselves, our self-perception. We tend to develop our self-perception. But this self-perception tends to change as our behavior starts to change. If I become really shy with someone's presence and uh, I am flirting with the person and I'm thinking about the person, I will start to analyze my behavior and would say, I am in love.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what happens, right? But after few months, I'm with the same person, not enjoying the company, getting bored, and I'm like, I don't know where it's going. And I will be like, okay, I have lost the interest. Okay, I don't love you anymore. So, how I am and what I want in my life tends to change as my perception about the other person and about my own self changes, right? So, like this, we sometimes think that we are in love, and the definition or say that role that we have in our mind of love is way different than the reality. We think that love is like like we see in the movies, yeah, or and all that. So the reality is way different than that. It's way different. Now people may think that if my boyfriend is possessive, it's good, and it means he loves me so much, but it's a big red flag,
Red flag. Yeah.
right? And like this, the way we perceive our relationship tends to keep on changing. And as we think, okay, this person whom I have in life, and this person is adding a lot of value because this person is responsible for my happiness. You're my boyfriend. You should know how to make me happy. You should know what you should speak to me, and so on, right? And we do this because we have no relationship with ourselves. We have no single ounce of idea of how we can make happy ourselves.
Yeah.
That's why we tend to escape from our responsibility and put that responsibility onto somebody else.
Others.
And when we break up, all of this shatters. Who will take care of me? No one. Who is going to love me? No one. Who is going to accept me? No one. And then this no one creates a great void around us and within. Now, this void is actually the answer because in this void is actually who we are, we are present here with us. We are breathing in right here within us. Who is around us? Only me. That void is actually the answer. But we tend to perceive it in a very negative, alien, in a very alienated way because we were never introduced with this void. And physiologically, as in biologically, also we go through a lot of changes. I know you must be knowing about it. People say love is an addiction. Somewhere it is. Because if you tend to give your sense of your responsibility of happiness onto someone else's shoulder, right? Then, well, if someone else is cracking jokes and I'm laughing, I'm definitely dependent on that person for laughing. And when that person goes away, who will make me laugh? The dopamine and serotonin in my body will drop. All the signs and symptoms of, breakup will happen. Right? So, breakup is hard because every time a relationship goes out of, goes away from us, we experience a little death, you know. Um, and as in fact, any experience that goes away, that passes by, we experience a little death because we invested our time, we invested our moments, we invested of who we think we are, and then now it's gone, right? So we feel like our energy has been dissipated. We are no more left with the energy, and that's it. Because we think that who I am is actually filled with people around me. Right?
Right. Thank you, Priyashi, for the beautiful answer. Uh, my second part was, is it possible for a person to come out of a heartbreak on their own, or would they always require some support?
So, in order to break through from breakups, it's not always necessary for a professional support. Uh, I would rather say what is necessary is an insightful mind, an aware mind. So it totally depends on the person's viewpoint, how the person guides themselves. So, it's like that. It's not that people have not actually healed from their breakups, they have. But they must be really mindful about what they are feeling. They must be able to take right decisions that are going to work in their favor. Whereas people tend to develop habits which are not going to work in their favor. And all these happens because they have watched movies, they have seen that the person becomes alcoholic, okay, they tend to develop, you know, poor habits and poor relationships further, or they end up having a tragic marriage decision in their
Yeah,
life,
yeah, yeah.
you know, and so on. So it's like that. But if there are people who find themselves in the situation, in the breakup situation, that they are dealing with it with a great pain and they are not able to see what can actually help them out, then they should also be open to, expose themselves to therapies because these therapies are beautiful.
Okay. Right. To the end of the session. So, if there are any questions from the audience we would like to take in, please feel free to ask any question to Mr. The Vitamin DJ. Manoshala is a mental health initiative, a platform, and it works on a holistic approach with and provides support with preventive and curative mental health services. Yeah, thank you. So, okay, I had a really one more question, like coming to an end. So let's end with it. So how one can develop that relationship with oneself that we were talking about in the relationship during the whole time. So we talk about personal relationship, understanding oneself, and then so is it very easy to develop that personal relationship, or how much it would require to have that level of self awareness, recognition, self love, and all of the self terms that we talk about? So how do we really develop it?
Sure, sure. I think it all starts with the awareness, because if one is not aware or one is not mindful about how am I, what am I thinking, what am I doing, or what am I feeling, the person would struggle a lot to develop this relationship with themselves. So our thinking, emotions, and behavior, these three things are really important, right? And besides this, one may actually feel an identity loss when, like, people really do feel an identity loss. Even I have experienced this in my life earlier when I got to understand that, okay, I have put in everything, or, every definition that I think that I am is actually developed from other people's perspective, right? When I faced that identity crisis kind of situation at the time, but then I started to think, what do I really like? Without considering any kind of category, like profession, like gender, sexuality, name, age, you know, um, culture, nation. These are the things that right, categorize us. So I asked myself, what do I like as a human being? Right. So that started to help me out with getting to know myself. Uh, and I think a very good practice is to identify what are your love languages. And this was going to work so beautifully when it comes to relationship with others as well. There are five love languages: uh, touch, quality time, acts of service, words of appreciations, and gifts. So just ask yourself, when do I feel most loved when, by others? What are the things that other people do for me when I feel most loved by them? So a few things would come up, like surprises or gifts and partying and XYZ. It would be different for different people. And start applying those things with yourself by yourself.
Right.
Now that's because that's your love language, and you have to express your love to yourself. Initially, it is difficult for some people because they never learned to love themselves. So it's very weird experience for them. Yeah, yeah, right. Like, if I like cooking, so I have to cook. Like, if I like someone cooks for me, and I feel like, wow, like someone has actually cooked for me, and it's really amazing. This person is giving me so much, it's making me feel really special by cooking for me. Then I have to start cooking for myself. But I may find it like I may find an obstacle of laziness. I may find it difficult. I may get bumps and bruises and XYZ. And that, yeah,
Disconnect. Yeah, there was
yeah,
a disconnect.
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, yeah. Right.
That could be a struggle for some people. That one has to go through that. You know, something with
Right.
something that you have to take. And
Hmm.
after a point when you become comfortable with it, you start enjoying it. You
Hmm.
start
Hmm.
nurturing yourself.
Right.
If you are not nurturing yourself, how can you possibly think that you love yourself?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right, Prashi.
You have
Right.
to start doing things that you are expecting from other people to do
Others,
for you.
yourself.
You have to do it for yourself. To start nurturing.
Right.
That's the first step towards, but I think that the first is awareness, second is nurturing yourself. That's then self-love system. Then third would be setting healthy boundaries for yourself. Learn
Hmm.
creating healthy habits in life, bringing a change in lifestyle, doing meditation, learning more about who am I, you know. Sometimes
Hmm.
we think that 2 plus 1 is equal to 3, but that's not always true. Maybe it's,
True.
it,
Yeah.
it, it was just taught to us, right?
Hmm.
It's just someone's language, right?
Hmm.
Um, One can also start to see it as 2 plus 1 is actually equal to 2 plus 1.
Hmm.
No logic is required. Similarly, when I say I am equals to, no adjective or no words or verbs or designations are supposed to fill it in. I am can be equal to just the silence, just nothing.
Hmm.
I am can
Right.
also be equal to just I am, just
Hmm.
essence of my existence. And
Existence.
so, and I think these kinds of insights can, uh, pushes one person to start to lose any, from the identity that they have created for themselves.
Hmm. Hmm.
As they
Hmm.
lose their identity, they really understand that they are actually no one. And that no one
Yeah.
is not the identity crisis, but actually very, very empowering.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are few ways one can start to work with, creating that relationship with it.
Hmm. 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 Right. Right. Thank you so much, Priyoshi. We have one question. So the question is from AGD Tiger 1 asking, is over expectation lead to heartbreak? So basically, does over expecting is normal, or does it leads to heartbreak?
A lot of people think that expectation is natural, which I would
Hmm.
say it is natural, uh, unless we understand, that we are actually not. Unless we understand that um, we are only our life partner. If there is only
Right.
one person who lives or who stays with us, who woke us seven since the day we were born to the day we are going to die, that's
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
uh,
Right.
it is okay to have expectations unless
Hmm. Hmm.
you don't really, you know, start to connect with the individual.
Hmm.
Instead we are just connected with the individual on the basis of what image we have of the role
Have.
within that
Right.
relationship
Right.
with us.
Right. Right.
So if we are connected with the roles, if we have relationship just with the roles created by societies which are already predefined, then we will have expectations,
Have expectations.
even
Yeah.
with ourselves. The society has, like, people have told me several times, hey, she is really sincere, really sincere. I start to have expectations from me. I have to be
To
sincere
be
at the
sincere. Yeah.
same time. I have to
Hmm.
study. Right? I can't be insincere.
Right. Right.
And yes, that does lead to challenges in life.
Hmm. Hmm.
Doesn't
Hmm.
our reality. And
Right.
relationships exist. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has stated that if अगर आप अपेक्षा कर रहे हो तो relationship खराब होगा।
होगा।
क्योंकि एक्सपेक्टेशंस का नेचर ही शायद एक है।
राइट।
So like yeah, and over expecting will definitely cause some trouble.
Some troubles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for beautiful insight, Priyashi. And also for the love language that you talked about, I always thought that love language is expressing to someone else through that language, expressing love to someone else through these gestures. Like it was a beautiful insight for me as well to understand that we can apply that love language to ourselves as well. So thank you for that. Right. So it was lovely talking to you after so long, and thank you so much for your
It's great.
expertise. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you
Thank you.
everyone who has joined this live and
Joined
you
in.
also
Yeah.
asked wonderful questions. I love this interview.
Thank you. Thank you so much for accepting and being so generous and for this live session. Thank you, Priyashi. Thank you so much. Wishing you all the best and hoping to connect in future as well.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you for joining in, everyone. Bye. Thank you.